What is going on, YouTube? Today we're doing a quick project here. About a week or two ago, I had the opposite side making a lot of noise. What it turned out to be is a U-joint behind the hub. So really, I'm not going to go into explaining how to do the U-joint because I take it to a machine shop and let them press it out because I don't simply have the tools handy to do that. And it is, especially if something's seized up, it's a lot of work. So what we're going to concentrate on is taking the hub out. So that's what this video will be about. So to start, we've got our tire off, and the first things that we're going to do here is we're going to pull our brake caliper loose and get it out of the way, and then we're going to pull the axle nut loose and get it out of the way. There's a couple of 12mm bolts that hold your brake caliper on. Okay, so I just take my caliper, set it on my bar over here. Now we're going to move on to the nut. On the nut, there's a cotter key or pin, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to bend it back out straight. Now that our cotter key's out, this is a retention nut just to keep it from backing off. And there's a little washer behind it. We want to save it too. This is our 36mm socket. I'm just going to run it out with my impact real quick. So there's three bolts that hold our hubs. So there's one. There's the second one. And there's the third one. What I do to get these out is I take me a wire wheel and clean these threads. My battery died. So the next thing that you're going to need is a 13mm and a 12 point. And that's what those bolts are on the back side. This swivel head really allows you to get a better vantage on these bolts. That way it saves you some strain from having to be in an awkward position. Ah, goodness. Okay, there's that one. Let's see. Man, that thing is really limited. It was not that way on the other side, so okay, now that you got all your hub bolts out, the only thing left is to get the hub disconnected from the axle. All I was doing that for is make sure that my hub has some play in it. As you can see, I got my power bar back behind it a little bit. It just takes some persuading. Some are easier than others. This one was fairly difficult. When I took my truck that I drove up in New York for 5 years, when I brought it down here and had to do the hubs, I actually had to cut with a cutting torch to get it to come out and completely separate. So I know the struggle. But anyways, so now we've got that off. I took a wire wheel and cleaned this up, and then I put me a good helping of anti-seize on there. I do that. This is just me. That way, in case the hub were to get a little hot next time, it's hard to get out. I also put anti-seize on the bolts, as you can see. And then I put a touch on the back of this hub, because I've had it where hubs have really locked up before, and if they'd had a little bit of anti-seize on it, it could have saved me some serious headaches. So on reassembly, we're literally just doing the opposite of what we did to disassemble it. So last thing that come out was our axle. When you put your axle in, you want to try to support it as best as possible. That way you're not creating any hash marks in the splines down at the end. There we go. Do not forget this shield. I did it the first time. Had my hub completely tightened down, and then I looked down and noticed the shield was on the ground. Can happen to anybody, but I'm giving you a clear warning, so maybe you won't be as forgetful as I was. So the shield goes pretty easy to tell, but there's a cutout where your tie rod in, and that's on both sides. So you want to make sure you line that up correctly. And you may have a little bit of a gap, so what I did is I take and I insert my hub bolts and use them to help seat it. So as you tighten these down, do not get crazy with tightening one all the way down and leaving the other two out. What I like to do is run my first one through. It comes to out the side of the hub, because I know it's got a really good grip. Then I can move on to my second one. Oh, actually, I'll move on to my second one across from it, because it gives more leverage to pull the hub in. On this one, I'll take it past where the bolt's sticking out and run it a little further than I did the other one. And then on this third one, what I'll do with it is I take it, run it all the way down snug on the hub, but not super tight. And this allows the hub to be pulled up slow and even. Then we'll go back down to our bottom one. Then we want to just check them to ensure that they're all pretty well uniformed as far as equally being tight. And there you go. So now that all of that's done, the next step in this process is our axle nut. Okay, and that's good. You don't get carried away on tightening up this axle nut, you know. You just want it firm. There we go. Now it's time to mount our rotor. So since we're not changing brakes, this can be a little bit of a aggravating mess to get these back in there, because being used, because you don't want to expand your or depress your caliper, or I don't. Thank you guys for watching. If there's something I didn't cover and you need to know, just put it in the comment section and I'll get back to you within a day. I hope you guys found this helpful. I've done several of these hub assemblies over the years, and this is probably one of the easier ones to do. So if you're on the fence about doing it, and you want to do it yourself and save some money, go ahead. I do not think that there's much that you could get in trouble with other than what I showed you about getting the hub off. Sometimes it's a little bit of a bear, but if you're persistent, you know, just stay after it. I promise you it's a job that you can tackle. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.